All right, welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining us. I've got Ashok Chokalingam, Head of International Operations for Amrut Distilleries on the show with me today. Ashok, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning, Michael. Thank you.
All right, now the United States is 1/3 of the global export of Amrut right now, second largest behind Europe. Let me ask you this. Why has single malt whiskey from India grown so much?
You see a trend within the whiskey industry at the moment where people are willing to try single malt whiskeys from around the world. This is not the case 15 years ago. I think perhaps the Japanese set the trend. The Japanese category grown exponentially well around the world, and now you don't get Japanese whiskeys easily, some of the brands, and then the price is really like super premium. So I think is basically the aftershock of that is what made our life easy. So now after people, historically in the past, it was like traditional whiskey nesting grounds is what we call, like Scotland, Ireland, America, and Canada. And then Japanese was a new category created in the last 20 years in terms of the power in the market. And now that helped us basically, like India, the world whiskies category on which we are into. And people are now basically exploring the different flavors that can be offered from different countries. I think that's what makes us popular what we are today.
Okay, what is unique about Indian single malt from a business perspective?
From the business perspective, the way how we mature the whiskey is pretty fast because of the climatic condition under which the whiskey is matured. For example, if I and a Scotch distillery produce a spirit today, and they have to age somewhere 10 to 12 years before they can basically take the whiskey out of the cask and liquidate and make money out of it. So in our case, we can do that in 4 years. We will still relatively get the same profile of the whiskey that was aged in Scotland in 12 years. We get it in 4 years. So from a business perspective, our turnaround time is pretty fast, roughly 1/3 of what you can do it in Scotland.
Yep, that is brilliant. Then that I can see is a big plus, big leg up on the rest of the world. Now, when you opened your second distillery this year, can they be selling fully mature whiskeys in 3 to 4 years, just like you said, or is there something else behind that? Because that's a new distillery, not an old one.
No, the new distillery will start the production of new make spirit from next month.
Right.
So from that time onwards, in 3 to 4 years, I can bottle my whiskey.
All right. What about the future in the United States for Amrut?
Future is like really promising. At the moment, United States is on allocation. So whatever we offer them, they basically sell it through. I think my understanding is we can grow the sales in the United States to another 200, 300% in the next 7, 8 years. That's what I'm really looking into.
Brilliant. All right. What about the products? Let's talk about Amrut's flagship Fusion and an incredible combination of 75% malt and 25% peated.
That's right.
Talk to me.
There are many whiskeys in the market which are like heavily peated. It just basically blows your socks off in terms of the peat level. And we wanted to produce something very subtle with peat, but still offers enough complexity into the whiskey. So we came up with the idea of producing a malt whiskey combining 2 different barley grains. One is basically homegrown in the north of India, and then the another one is basically peated barley imported from Scotland. So we basically process both the barley grain separately, mature them separately, and then marry them together in an approximate ratio of 75% of the whiskey coming from the Indian barley, 25% coming from the Scottish barley, and then we marry them in a first full bourbon barrels for the last 6 months before we bottle it. And that makes a lot of difference. You basically fuse a character of two different barley grains and let them settle down in a bourbon barrel for the last 6 months before they bottle it. And to add to that, today Fusion got 30 international awards since its introduction in 2009. That in the last 9 years, we have over 30 international awards. And by far is one of the best selling whiskeys in our portfolio.
Right. Now, you just recently got an award, was it 97 points, was that from Jim Murray, right?
That's right. That was the first turnaround, which had happened in 2010, followed by World Whisky of the Year by Malt Advocate magazine in America. And in fact, last week, we got gold award from Whiskies of the World in Texas for the same brand.
Hey, that's saying something. All right, tell me about the two Indian rums.
The two Indies rum, again, is a new experiment that we have done. Not many people in the world know that India was producing rum before the Caribbean started to do that. In fact, rum went to the Caribbean from India. We've been growing sugarcane and distilling sugarcane in India for a very long time. So the British took it from India to the Caribbean. So that's how the rum production and drinking culture started in the West Indies, which was, of course, taken all around the world by the British. So having said that, in fact, in our own distillery, the very first product that we started to make was, in fact, rum in 1955. So we've been distilling rum for a very long time. So we came up with an idea of how about combining two fantastic characters together in one bottle. So we basically blended rum produced in our distillery, which is basically made from jaggery. Jaggery is nothing but you basically crush the sugar cane, make the juice out of it, and then you basically reduce it by heating it. And then it basically turns towards honey in terms of the viscosity. And then you basically simmer it further and make a big balls like this. And that's what jaggery is. It's basically pure form of sugar without any refining process in a natural way. So we distill that in a pot still because majority of the rum around the world is produced in a column still. So when you produce a rum in a pot still, you are going to add a lot of flavors to the spread. And then we mature it in a bourbon barrel. Well, this is the first part. That's how rum is produced in our distillery as far as two Indies is concerned. Then the second part is we have sourced some good rum from Barbados, Guyana, and Trinidad. And then both these rums are basically blended together and bottled and called as two Indies because we are the East Indies and they are the West Indies. So it's two Indies.
I definitely want to try that.
Yeah.
All right, now you have a new limited edition release coming up. What is it?
It's a Madeira finish. We have worked with a lot of different casks in the past. For example, Pedro Ximénez sherry cask or Oloroso sherry cask. So Madeira is an area which we haven't touched before in the past. So we tried it for the first time. So when you try something for the first time, you cannot mass produce it. It's going to be very limited. Unfortunately, it came out very well.
Great. I have no doubt. All right. Ashok, thank you for being a guest on the show. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you much.
You've been watching CEO with Michael Yorba. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thank you.